Good morning, everybody. It is my pleasure to introduce Professor Fabio Babiloni from Sapienza University in Rome, professor of physiology, right? Great expert in neurosciences. We've talked about it last week, and now you will have a first-hand account of what economic research in neuroscience is about and looks like. Professor Babiloni got his PhD in Helsinki and is the author of 200 plus scientific papers, so I don't think you can get a more qualified look on the application of neurosciences to economics and behavior economics. So if you want to add, so without further ado, Professor Babiloni, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I'm really glad to stay here to talk to people that have a different cultural instruction and that can be interested in the use of neuroscience in their business in the future. So I would like to thank all my colleagues, Professor Egidi, that invites me to have this opportunity to exchange ideas with some of you. What I'm going to present you in the next probably 45, 50 minutes is a first overview about how we are structured inside the brain and how brain is different to probably what you are thinking just moving inside this classroom. So, and what I would like to also to show you how this, some concept of neuroscience can be useful to make business. And business means to generate companies, generate revenues in using such concept inside the industrial attempts, industrial environment, even in Italy. So I am here as professor of the university, also as a scientific director of this company that was owned by the University of Sapienza as well, and make business in the advising companies about their commercial advertising by using neuroscience concept. Once for all, the recent change of Telecom Italia Mobile brand, team brand, was also determined on the basis of such kind of study. I will show you something. So 50 minutes, so we have not so much time. So we need to move through the all this talk. So I'm going to. This picture comes from Call of Pigs. It's René Magritte. So my issue here is to attempt to give you just a brief glimpse about how to use neuroscience in marketing communication, even in economic transaction, in the evaluation of economic transaction, and as well as in the industrial world, this concept of cognitive workload evaluation have a value for a lot of airline companies, and there is a lot of money involved in there, and in any field in which human factor plays a role, this concept could be important. So I attempt to move through all of this kind of stuff. This is our object. This object is slightly different from what we are thinking and what we are used to draw, thinking about brain. When we talk about brain, we are thinking and talking about usually this part of the brain, the circumvoluted one, which represent actually the last arrival in this hardware that comes from evolution in the last 100,000 years, even less. But all the other stuff, all the other cellular corps here plays a big role in our decision, plays a lot of role in the decision making without inform the cerebral cortex. I'm talking about cerebral cortex is the last part from an evolutionary point of view of our brain that arrives, is a sort of memory expansion. And there are some our, between quotes, cognitive function like future plans, cognitive thoughts, and whatever. But you will be surprised by the fact that when you enter in a store and when you choose something, it is very barely that you use this part of the brain, but maybe you are using this internal structure that comes from an ancient age. And those structure, which has in Latin names like basal ganglia, whatever, I will not enter into this detail now, but these cellular corps are working and are taking decisions. And our t-shirt, our pullover, usually will be chosen by these guys and not these guys. This comes from a simple fact that 70% in the world of new products, we are talking about cars, we are talking about pen, bottle, food, whatever new products generated, 70% are withdrawn from the market in the first 6 months. Why? Why, after all the techniques used and employed in order to understand if the market needs the product, when the product arrives, nobody purchases it? This is an issue. And we explain, we will move briefly in this issue 10 minutes from now. So, but the important issue here is the cerebral cortex is one of the dozen of processes that runs in parallel in our brain. And when we make decision, usually we don't use this. This factor is also known since thousands of years. If you move through Iliad and the Odyssey, you say that it was written that the people are continuously struggling between the decision they have to make and their emotion. And we are, in fact, after 4,000 years now, we know that it is not good to take decisions while we are engaging in so much emotional content. We understand that there are at least two different processes running in our head. And this process comes from these structures, we call later emotions stuff. And the other process runs on this structure, we call the cognitive emotion. And anytime we perceive this struggling between our decision making, I have to do this or not, I have to answer or not, while we are emotionally engaged, we are experimenting the fact that there is no one brain. There is a brain that runs several concurrent parallel processes. This will help us in the future when we attempt to understand some unlikely behavior from the people. So one of the issues that is interesting from the point of view of theory of information is that we are targeting by 1 billion of bits per second of information, while our hardware, the numbers of neurons we have inside the head, is limited. Is 100 billions of neurons. It seems a lot. If you make the math, if you make the computation, you see that 100 billions of neurons generates a memory amount probably less than the memory already inserted in your mobile phone. Lady, how much memory you have in your mobile phone just now? 64 gigabytes. So if you do the math, in our life, in our brain, to run all our activities, we have 10 gigabytes. We have a limited hardware. And from that limited hardware, it descends a lot of behavior. It descends the fact that we have no photographic memory. But it is easy to understand. If any picture of this classroom takes 8 megabytes at least, I cannot have these photographic images in my memory unless I will exhaust my memory very soon. So one of the problems the evolution had on this on this species with a limited number of computational resource here is how to select the relevant information and how to select the information that are not relevant. Is relevant how your classmate is wearied today? Maybe not. So you will forget this in a matter of 2 days, maybe, even less. It's not useful. While the last concept for your final examination or the next examination you will have, it is an important concept that you have to retain in the memory. So basically, the emotion is a process on which the evolution gives us the opportunity to select the relevant information. And this, what we call the emotion, is a process, internal cognitive process that gives a value to the sensory input. A particular sensory input recognized as a value from this guy, and this was stored, and then, more important, a part of this concept was stored and produced, anytime it comes back, produce a modification of some organs of the body. I will come back on that. So emotion, you know that when you are emotionally engaged, your body reacts differently. Your heartbeat slow down or accelerate. Your transpiration of the hand changes. So emotion changes the internal attitude of the body. So there is the first idea. If we can be able to measure the changes of the body, we can infer if the people feel emotion. And this is an important concept that I will use in the following. So I would like to ask you, maybe you are too young to that, where you are the 6 September 2002. Maybe, have you born there yet? It's okay. I'm running these slides so much time that nowadays I have to update this. So 2002, maybe September, maybe June. Can you remember where you are? There is a little chance that you remember where you have 9/11, 2001, maybe the little chance because you are so young, but this works very, very, very nicely with your older colleagues. So the issue is not if you remember that day, but the issue is you remember of that day irrelevant details, where you are, which is what are the food you are eating. So at that moment in which you perceive the emotion around you, because maybe you are too young, you perceive the emotion, this structure, which called by physician hippocampus, for this structure is a sort of hard drive of our brain. So information that arrives here since you are in so much emotional engage, was written permanently in your memory. So you remember of that day things that you are not remembering of 2 days ago. Why? Because the emotional contents of these images activates a path not under the control of a cerebral cortex, but under the control of other structure here, more ancient, that writes through the hippocampus directly, permanently in your memory, such irrelevant details. So the issue here is emotion is a drive for memorization. And all the people that make advertising know that. Heuristically, but it's noted. So, emotions, I will move. I will leave you in this slide. So there will be not so much need to write every word, just to keep some concept, since I have to run a little bit in the next of the presentation. So, but the principal issue I would like to put to your attention is emotion is a process that selects information. And when the emotion occurs, often in our brains, the cerebral consciousness is not informed early. It arrives later. So first we feel, give a value to the sensory inflow, and make a decision. Then the consciousness arrives. This reconciliates a lot of issue we have for the fact that when you enter in a store or in a supermarket, you come out with a lot of things that you are not scheduled to purchase. 0.22 is the correlation between what you would like to do inside a supermarket and what you really do inside the supermarket. So your decision of purchase has been made, will be made in the store, in the supermarket, in the economic transaction in which you are involved, without taking into account your first thoughts. So emotion is an important drive. And the other concept at this point, emotion causes a modification of body activity. And this modification of heart activity, modification of galvanic skin response activity, transpiration of the hand. This means that we can measure these things. And if we can measure, we can assess that the people feel some emotion. And this is important in the evaluation of the process. So another important process, I would like to speak about emotion, attention, approach, withdrawal. There are concepts in neuroscience how can be used really in an industrial or economic context. Attention, everybody of us knows what is attention, is focalization, concentration. And I would like to invite you to make this little game with me. Attention is a not illimited resource for us, and this applies on advertising as well. So I would like to show you a video with two teams. One white team and one black team. Have you already seen that video? We can skip? No. Okay, so the first issue, everybody of us, I am here, everybody of us, you have to keep silent. Mouth shut, closed. Because people that have not seen this video before could have a chance to learn something. So I would ask you to count exactly the number of passages of the ball between the member of the white team. Please, do not speak. Okay, so try to make it, and after I will ask you how many counts, how many passages, okay? Okay, so move here.
Count how many times the players wearing white pass the ball.
Okay, so don't speak, just count silently. Count silently, the white team, how many times he passed the ball. Count silently, please, and then I will ask you how many times the ball he passed it. Count, 1, 2, 3.
The correct answer is 16 passes.
Okay. I'm pretty sure that you have 15, 16. It's okay. Okay. Who in this classroom I saw the gorilla? Very good, very good, very good. Who in this classroom has seen that the black team remains only in 2 players? Who in the classroom has seen that the curtain changed the color? So the issue here is attention is a limited resource. I will show you the video again. So if the story is too fancy and the brand arrives exactly at the climax of the story, you simply could ignore in the commercial advertising the brand because you are focused on the story. And this happens a lot of time. I will show you what you have seen exactly. You are focused on the gorilla. This is
Did you spot the gorilla? For people who haven't seen or heard about a video like this before, about half missed the gorilla. If you knew about the gorilla, you probably saw it. But did you notice the curtain changing color or the player on the black team leaving the game? Let's rewind and watch it again. Here comes the gorilla, and there goes a player, and the curtain is changing from red to gold. When you're looking for a gorilla, you often miss other unexpected events. And that's the monkey.
Gorilla illusion. The issue here is when you are focusing your attention on a certain event, your cerebral processes, since are not illimited, are really limited, are focusing on one of them. And this causes you to justly don't care about all the other story. This is also important in law. When the people is assaulted, and I make this, I apologize for using this gun in the front of the lady, your attention is not on my face. It's on the gun. So you easily do not recognize anything about what is going on around you. Okay, so there are other areas in our brain that are involved in a lot of motivational efforts or wanting. And there are, you are familiar with magnetic resonance images, functional. You have to think that there are devices able to show us where in the brain the cerebral activity occurs during a task. So these guys, so this is an image of the brain since from left. So you see here this tiny yellow dot. This is a particular area of the brain that is particularly active when we like something. When we want something, and I will show you something again. This is an image of the brain cutted cut from below. So you have to think about the fact that there are feet here. The people lies down. There are feet here. So there is a cut in this way. And this yellow part is called the nucleo accumbens, and is particularly active. Is not cerebral cortex. It's something that comes from 100,000 years ago. And is particularly active when we want something, like, of course, games and fast girl and loose girl, as it say. This particular structure, the nucleo accumbens, is not surprisingly active when we take, or somebody takes cocaine, and or, not surprisingly, chocolate. They are the same structure. We are not the brain for chocolate or the brain for cocaine. We are the brain that responds to sensory info. So chocolate, also picture of attractive man or woman. I have to say, unlikely for men, also picture of a sports car. This likely, it doesn't work for you woman. It's supposed the men, they have to purchase something like that. And this is interesting, is the punishment of others, as well as the charity. These are a concept about that have some importance in application of neuroscience for fundraising. So there are precise areas of the brain that are active during charity or during some justice performance, like see punishment of others that deserve to be punished. This is something that it comes out. You are here today, imagining that it was a beautiful day outside, while you are here and not on the seaside. This is a question. And you are here probably because you understand that maybe it's important to listen something, because maybe it's important to overcome the examination, to get the degree, to get the work, in order to fulfill your long-term plan. Okay, anytime in which we have to make a decision between something immediate, I move to the sea instead to attend the class, or delayed, if I move in the class, I will get the degree 2 years from now, 3 years, whatever, and I get a work 4 years from now. So two areas of the brain are starting to compete one to each other. These red dots here, and this is the brain seen from the right. So this area of the brain are active exactly when we decide to come into the classroom today, despite the beautiful sunny day outside. It is called the delayed reward network. Not surprisingly, is the same network active when you leave your stock options in the market, even if the market share goes down. You leave there because you hope that it comes back, it comes higher. While this structure are active when you get immediate rewards. The market stock move down, I would like to retire all my stock options immediately. I want the chocolate immediately, without thinking about the calories. I want to move to the sea immediately. They are the same structure. So these are cortical structure, the delayed reward, and these are not so much cortical, more ancient structure. Now it is time of another embarrassing game. Okay, before I enter in the classroom, Professor Egidi gave me to make this game. Give me this money. There are several tickets are 20 euros. So it's not my money. But I would like to engage you in a game like this. I could make you an offer of this money that comes from the pocket that is not mine. You could decide to get the offer I will make you, or deny the offer. If you deny the offer, if you accept the offer, I will give you the money, and I will take my part, and that's all. If you deny the offer, nobody takes this money. And this money comes back in the pocket. Let's start. I will make you an offer. So of this 20 years game, so this is called the ultimatum game. So on 20 years game, I will give you 5 cents, and I will take 19.95. You can agree on that, or deny. If you deny, I will put this money here and make another offer here. Or you can simply accept. We start. Just answer freely. I will move out from your life in a matter of 30 minutes. So 20 euros, I offer you 5 cents. I get 19.95, and that's all. Do you accept? No. Come on. Okay, I will try to make a more 19.5, 50 cents to you, 19.5 to me. Okay, so I'm running out of the time. So if I offer you 10 euros, it's a fair offer. So the issue here, what we are observed? We have observed the fact that we are not machines that are used to increase their amount of money. If the function to be maximized is the earning of money, you will get 5 cents against nothing. This has been shown in a paper on Science in 2003. But before, people that make this job knows that if was a computer to offer you this 20 years game, and the computer offer you 5 cents, you will get easily. Or offer you 50 cents, you will get, because it was a computer. Which is behind this economic transaction, there is the fact that we are human beings, and we decide with emotion. Why this guy have to give me this unfair offer? Justice. Make economic transaction, not maximization of the profit itself. And this was one of the lot of the games that can be performed within a theory of game theory. And in this results, it comes that if provided by a computer, you are going to accept 4 euros of my 20. A lot of you get 4 euros. And even you get even 1 euro of my 20. But if you are not going to take this offer if it was offered by me. So this gap means the importance to have fairness during economic transactions. Okay. So why we are the need to measure something during the decision making? So what you are seeing there is the approach withdrawal systems. We have two systems in the brain, that guide us towards the stimuli and move us away from undecided stimuli. So these two systems are called the approach system and inhibition system. Who cares? Because those systems are the systems that are continuously active within our brain, also your brain, when you make a decision. When you make a decision, economic transaction, supermarket, whatever, these two systems are moving one against the other, evaluate the outcome, and make us behave. There is a lot of hundred of papers and literature that shows us that those systems are real. It works. They worked in humans, even in child, even in dolphins. It's a property of bigger brains. Okay, so we have the capability that the left hemisphere, I have to say not only hemisphere, this part of the brain is active when we observe some sensory inflow, something that we like. This part of the brain is active when we observe something that we don't like, or just we don't need at that time. If I show you a bottle of water, ice water, you don't need maybe at this moment. So you get, not for me at this moment. But in the middle of summer, 40 degrees outside, I will show you something like this. You say, it's okay for me. Okay, why I have to say all of this? I will skip all this part, technical. I would like to underline the fact that our decisions are reflecting the activity of different parts of our brain and different parts of our body. Decision performed here impact the activity of some organs of our body. So when we are deciding, when we are evaluating a stimuli, some activity happens here, and the nice issue is can be measured. We can measure such activity and infer which kind of process are going inside. So, for instance, you can get a situation like this in which you can measure the activity of the people within with this instrument. This is, for instance, is the device that is able to look to monitor the gaze, the eye gaze. So this device could give us information where you gaze during, for instance, a supermarket visit. And the kind of information we have is like these heat maps, so the concentration of gazes during your choice. And in the same time, it is possible to measure the emotional engage during such kind of decision-making effort. So applying the neuroscience tool, let me show you a possible application. You will see, for instance, in marketing, commercial advertising evaluation. You know that perfumes and scents are really difficult to advertise because you cannot show anything of a perfume. You can show just the bottle, maybe. So you have to convey emotion, an emotion associated to the perfume. So imagine that you will see here a plot. This is the time of the commercial advertising, and you will see here the commercial advertising, and you see here some wave that represents the average emotion of a group of people like you while they are watching such kind of video. I have to start this. So please follow. And we make together the comment on how this measure could help us to improve the quality of this commercial advertising. So this is the motion, the higher the better.
Baisez-vous-les, le nouveau parfum Cartier.
Okay, so you have seen something. You are not sure about what you have already seen. Let's move a little bit into the details. So it is a commercial advertising that generates the name of the brand at the end of the 30 seconds. 2 seconds are of this message was occupied by Cartier. And the other 28 seconds, which has been paid a lot by the company, are aired and need to increase a little bit the feeling and the emotion of all the people in this room. And so you saw here that 0, it means the same emotion you have watching a documentary before the advertising, this way. And then, so you say when they started the advertising, so you perceive the fancy, you understand the situation, you perceive the fancy situation, the music starts to louder, so you get an increase of the emotion that runs, this is something related to the variance of the measure, runs high until this point. And then you see here there is this drop, and then this slightly increase, which is this is what we measure, no doubt about that, which is the interpretation, how this could be a good insight for the companies in order to improve their advertising. So using neuroscience to improve business. And this is quite easily. This commercial advertising increase emotion arrives at a climax of the emotion, and then there is something that dissipates the emotion. When the Cartier brand arrives, Cartier, and then it comes a lot of glamour, a lot of association between you and the brands. And this is the value of the brands. But this value have to be put on top of this. And so which is the advice you can give to the commercial marketing staff of the Cartier, just now, just in few minutes of this course, is please remove whatever is situated from here to here, please. And this is a very particular segment of the advertising, which is supposed to be so nicely by the art director, and in fact, it was not nicely at all. So I am running out of time, really. But this is how neuroscience turns in business. So it's good here. People understand that this glamorous stuff here running. Now, art director leaves us uncertain about
le nouveau parfum Cartier.
Uncertain about the exit of the keys. There are many keys, anytime, any day in all our life, and so it is not that particular segment of time was not so beautiful as in the impression of the advertising. So I will not show this, but this techniques has been used. I cannot show you this. It is possible, as you understand easily, it can be possible to monitor cerebral activity. I will run in 5 minutes, I will close. Possible to use this kind of stuff analyzing political debates. And we do that in ancient time. But at that time, we understand all the people declare that they vote on the left side at that time. And from the emotional reaction of equi-political part of the sample, we understood that the issue from the right political party was really well received by a lot of people. So the results of the election, which is close to half and half between those guys, not Vendola, but the left party, it was not a surprise, because the arguments was received really, really in a good way. One of the most innovative company in the bank system, Bank Intesa, would like to understand better if some testimonial deliver the right message for the company. And this is a classical problem. So neuroscience turns on that, and you can see...
Per storie impossibili, quest'uomo è venuto in banca ad...
Opla. I apologize. So you will see here the I don't care line, and you will see I care, I don't care area, and this is.
Per storie impossibili, quest'uomo è venuto in banca ad assicurare la sua famiglia, la sua casa, la sua salute. Ma perché in una banca?
Perché qui in Intesa San Paolo fanno anche le polizze.
Ma perché non me lo dite?
Un mondo in cui puoi sentirti protetto è possibile. Prima della sottoscrizione, leggere il fascicolo informativo.
So the issue here, now you are an expert in neuromarketing. This is the name of this activity, using neuroscience for evaluation of commercial advertising. What is your opinion on that? So the testimonial crunches the message or not? So when the testimonial is on the video, so the interest arose like here. When the testimonial leaves the video, we move down, and then arrives the commercial proposition. So one possible conclusion is the structure of the spot is too much divided in the story and the proposition. This doesn't work. Since the proposition itself that starts from here runs very well in the mind of the people, because they are interested in the proposition, it is a matter of preparation. So it is not possible to have a story and the proposition, commercial offer. You have to mix it, the both commercial proposition and the story. We have a question.
Is it possible that like the emotion rises because you know that the spot is about to finish? The spot is about to finish.
Yeah.
Like you are happy because it's so boring and you're happy.
Yeah, the fact that the spot is quite boring as we observe from the fact that it doesn't rise too much from the baseline. So it doesn't excite too much. But there is a potentiality in the message offered by the company that has not exploded by this structure of the spot. I will not really move too much into the detail. I would like just to offer you 2 minutes. I'm running desperately out of time. 2 minutes how to use this kind of stuff in other contexts. This is the measuring of cerebral workload in pilots. The same pilot that brings you on the travel, the next travel you have. This comes from Alitalia, it's a military project. They are measuring continuously and they are evaluating during the performance, because there are signs.
Sicuramente queste cose qua.
So this is the cockpit. see the simulator, so the pilots are just standing inside the cockpit and facing their mission. It is possible to measure how they get tired by this mission.
You can proceed to Nordi and tell me you're ready for the set.
This is another experiment. This is another experiment in which the pilot just moving this cursor by thoughts by using EEG, and this cursor move up and down, but in the future they could command could drive some instruments just by thoughts. But this is another story, belongs to another issue. But it is possible. They already do that. It is not a question if, maybe. It is already ongoing. There are calls. I cannot show all of this stuff. There are calls from European Union. This is the people that lands airplane in the airport. And it is important to understand when they became tired. And the European Union already, since 4 years, invests money on this kind of things. So things happen. Neuroscience is already here in order to be used inside this a lot of environment. You can judge by neuroscience the different avionic system. Can you imagine the modern cockpit of the airplane, Airbus, airline, a lot of millions of business there. How can be evaluated by all this stuff? There are a lot of things that can be done also to assess cooperation between the people during attending games or attending economic transactions. I will not have the time to show you here. However, I would like to point your attention that when you are dealing with another people in order to make an economic interaction, there are the synchronization of some cortical areas between you and the other people. There are synchronization. It means that different part of the cortical areas works together in order to solve the problem. You can have a look of this science paper, not by me, by King Kazans and Red Montag group, which demonstrate between an investor and a trustee, the simultaneous activation of two particular areas that are active only when they are confident one to each other. So there are possibilities to measure what we like, the trust we put in the other person. It is possible to measure these things. I will not have time to do all this stuff. I would like to conclude you. This is to conclude you. This concept can be used in a lot of environment. You can assess the likely of a masterpiece. We perform experiments in gallery arts, even in Sistine Chapel. I cannot show you even that, or just in the perception of open space. And so I would like to conclude my talk with this issue. We know, as my 30-second statement, we know that the war of technological engagement has been lost by Italy, has been lost. Nobody of us has Italian technology here. Not on a mobile phone, not on the computer. We lost 30 years ago such kind of work. But as a future professionist in this field, and the same for your colleagues that study engineering, the same for your colleague that study psychology, neuroscience. In your professional life, it could be important to measure the human reaction to devices, to the human reaction to products. So to develop the knowledge about human factors and human reaction allows to us as Italy, we have only brains and masterpiece. We have no technology, but we have brains. So we can develop such kind of knowledge to understand the human factor. Because no matter what device will be here in the future, 10 years from now, there will be a human in front of it. If you are able, you will be able to assess the capability of the human to enjoy the product. You will have half of the budget of such research. Thank you for your attention.
Okay, thank you very much for the talk. We have some time for questions, so I will be passing the microphone along. And any questions?
Yeah, it's terrified.
Thank you for your presentation. My question is about decision making of political making political decisions. Is there any research of neuroscience making political decisions?
A lot, as and as you can imagine, they running since 2006. There is a lot of they have been used in US and the UK, and they assess the reaction, internal reaction of person, not verbal expressed, to some team of the political campaign for presidential elections, 2006. Even Obama will use that. And there was a lot of debate at that time, so New York Times and whatever, involving also some Italian neuroscientists that lives in the US. Because the idea to measure brain in reaction to the political issues, it was surprising at that time. Nowadays is usually did in a lot of countries, and there are even group. It is called, in a larger sense, nudging groups, which means that they are studying the way to nudge means just gently accompany the behavior of people in order to get a good decision for them. But it was running by political establishment in UK, for instance, in Denmark. They are active. I can imagine that there are some issue also in Italy, but it is standard stuff. So the answer is yes, they are running continuously. I would like just to add the fact that why we have to make all this stuff instead just to ask. Do you like Matteo Renzi? Just to ask, yes, no, okay. The issue here is that people react verbally, not necessarily sharing all the information the people have, because they do not want to share. I don't mind. I don't mind to share with you my political affair in this room now. I don't want. So I can give you a politically correct answer. This is the first issue. The second issue is maybe I cannot access directly the feeling I have in front of Matteo Renzi. You know, this guy is good or not. I cannot express myself directly. This is the reason for which questionnaire does not work completely to give you a perspective of the acceptance of a product, of a market option, of whatever you want. Just asking, it does not solve the issue. Because people even do not know what they want. Because it's not able to express clearly.
According to you, for surveys, for example, neuroscience will be the best answer, since also by writing down things, we may not write down what we actually really think about that thing.
So your colleague asked, what about questionnaires that we are currently using? We have to throw out of the window or not? The issue is that the reality is a multi-faced object. It's like I can show you this stuff. I can show you this stuff. So the reality, what people think about my new water, mineral water, is things like this. So he has different views. So you can observe this view. It comes from the questionnaire. But it's not all the information. So the issue is that this stuff is a mouse with a wheel, whatever, is a multidimensional object. With a questionnaire, you capture only a part, which is a cognitive, politically correct, shareable issues that the people would like to express. But there are unshared issues. There are unshared thoughts or emotion generated by the same object. You could access with other instrument, other device.
Don't you also see a danger of this tool being abused, especially in politics, where when politicians know exactly what you're thinking, they might use that to gain your support even in a non-morally correct way?
I have to say, your colleagues suggest there is no danger to misuse such kind of power. If you correctly understand the need of the masses, you can deliver what they want, which is essential one of the issue of political debates. The answer here is simple. Is business has currently run people already in this kind of political reaction. There is a lot of polls daily. All our political members of parliament has polls weekly on what they reaction, what they say. So the issue is here is to understand better the needs of the people is not necessarily bad stuff. To understand better what they want, at least there will be no excuse to misbehave after. So this is one of the issues.
Yeah, I wonder, is there any research that says that there are differences geographically or culturally in the way the brain reacts to different things and the way that the brain acts in different situations? I know this is a very debated scheme, and especially some research done 70 years ago is very criticized about these things. But now, as we can analyze stuff with real instruments and not just by measuring skull sizes, etc., do we know anything about different behavior?
So your colleagues raises the cultural issue here. No, any person reacts in the same way to the same stimuli. This is already known. The answer to your question is yes, has been published, and I will come back on this issue. But the issue here is we are culturally different on the heart. For instance, Latino American people and Greece and Mediterranean people has a value in the proximity. So if I am close to you, it is supposed that I am friend of you. In fact, when you embarrass me or rage me, I move a step back. This is a behavioral psychology. So for us, like Roman people, Mediterranean people, even European up to France, middle France, proximity is a sign of friendship. This is exactly the opposite in the Japan or Asiatic culture, even in Finland maybe, or in the north of Europe. Proximity is feel as an assault to proper area of space. So behaves change, and the perception changes accordingly. I could show you the color theory, how the brand of a multinational company arrives in countries in which the color is hopeful, is associated with is a lot of negative issues. I have to say, for instance, in Italy, this is an Italian joke, can be understood only by Italian people, that Volkswagen is produced some times ago a machine, maybe a car, maybe still now, which is called Jetta. This car has no future in a lot of areas of the Italy, where Jetta, it means something unlikely, just to say the obvious. So the cultural issue, there are a lot. Coming back to neuroscience. Neuroscience, of course, there are differences in the perception. For instance, Chinese, Asiatic people that have a habit to use ideogram, kanji, katakana for language, they are using more part of their brain when reading than us. Of course, because they have to decode the picture first. So their mental distribution of activity is completely different from us. Like Western, maybe WASP, or Latino American style Latin, with the Latin character. So the answer is yes, but there is nothing to be so much gained from neuroscience rather than psychological behavior. This is very important. For commercial advertising, if you make a commercial advertising in Italy and bring this in Japan, it doesn't work. Because in Italy, who stands out from the crowd? If you take this product, you will be powerful than the others. And there are a lot of commercial advertising running like this. It's completely awful in Japan, in which the value is stay with the others. So cultural issue is really important. And also if you get the chance to see commercial advertising in Chinese, they are really different from us, really different. Okay.
I would like to know if there is a difference between left-handed people and right-handed people in the brain, and I would like to know if there is a link between psychology and neuroscience.
Okay, so the first issue is if the brain of right and left-handed change. Of course, change in the motor activity. The brain of left-handed people attending motor capabilities is more bilateral. So I have to say that when I move this man in this hand in this way, there is a tiny part of my brain here that is active, just here. It's a contralateral to the hand. I move a right hand, the left part of my brain became active. It's how we are constructed. If I write left-handed and I make this, it is not only here, but it is only in the left hand. This is just this bilateral activation for left-handed people is just something that belongs to the motor activity, not, of course, for cognitive and reasoning activity. Was another question, maybe? Yes,
yes,
I forgot.
The second one.
The age.
The second one was to know if there is a link between psychology and neuroscience.
Yeah, of course. So you have to, your colleague asked, psychology and neuroscience talk one to each other. Psychology use words and label, like attention, like emotion, like we already saw. And the neuroscience attempts to measure what happens in the brain when attentional task is proposed to the subject. So the link, which is cognitive psychology or psychological neuroscience, is that to provide support from neuroscience, support on which kind of brain areas are activated supporting that particular label from psychological word, which means attention, spatial attention, top-down level of spatial attention, which are the areas of the brain that supports that function. So you can speak about attention. We spoke about the gorilla and the colors and curtain. It's a psychological concept. I could say the love for Juventus, football, soccer team. It is a word. But that word that depicts some psychological inner state can be measured from neuroscience. And some areas arose. If, for instance, for attention, we know already from neuroscience that there are two large areas in the brain that are active when we focalizing on things and when we switch our attention from one thing to another. Okay.
I think it's the last question. So you said that we keep things in mind when we are exposed, when we have emotions. So if we were to talk about studying and remembering things, do we need emotions when we are studying to understand? And
yeah, of course. What it is, as you say, in order to study something, I saw some of you that take notes. You can believe me that taking notes is useful to understand better the concept, because whatever simultaneous activity you made when compared to just listening is better. So the issue is this motor activity is useful to understand better the things you are receiving. It is not the value so much. It is not the value of what you are writing. Is the value of the fact that you are doing something while listening. It is a provocation, but you could, instead to take notes, so you can say, also in this way. It works in the same way. Simultaneous activity improves, because especially it doesn't run for, of course, 50 or 1 hour and a half lesson. But the concept is this: multi-sensor inputs are retained better. So in this case, if I used a music during the lesson, underline some passages, since it was generates the concurrent activity from other part of the brain, so you will remember better what I am going to say. But it requires a lot of preparation. However, the issue is concurrent activity improves memorization, like emotion.
I wanted to ask something about multitasking activity.
Yeah.
How does it work on the brain, and why it's everybody says that women are more multifunctional than men?
Okay, so the two questions. Why, what is supposed to happen during concurrent activity and why women do it better. And the issue, the concurrent activity, as you understand that 50 minutes ago, I showed you a movie, a video of the gorilla movie, in which you have to perform some concurrent activity. You spot the gorilla, you already know you are waiting for him, and then you have to count the passage, 2 activities in parallel. So you are running out of your attentional capabilities. So the first issue is our internal process are limited. Concurrent process decrease the quality of the 2 processes in parallel are still, if the second process is quite tedious, is quite repetitive, can be extremely useful to understand it is the maximum. More than 2 activity, it is completely a waste of time. I'm thinking about in aeronautics, these concurrent tasks are used a lot to assess the mental the mental effort. But I will not have time to enter in this detail. The second question is, it is true that women do it better in a task of concurrent activity, and there are it was true that in some activity of spatial, in some task, women perform better than males, like males perform better in the spatial abstract object rotation. And this is some part of the brain that works a little bit, and how we remember the way to arrive in this classroom is different between male or female. It's a sort of psychological. There are some neuroscience support for this task of spatial rotation and concurrent process. However, this concurrent process is something in which all the people that make commercial advertising have to face it, because people like me and old people are used to watch the television while they are attending some other task, as you for YouTube on your mobile phone. So this concept of poor attentional resources devoted to understanding campaign, commercial campaign, advertising is a very important issue, and bring us to the issue of repetition of the message in order to establish some fruitful memories. It is another stuff.
So I have 2 questions actually. One concerning the attention limit, and one concerning the memory limit. What are the implications deriving from a person who is affected by attention deficit on neuroscience, or specifically on the brain activity? And regarding the memory, what are does it if we're you said that we have a limit to our memory, which is 10 gigabyte, and does it mean that while we actually learn, we override that memory continuously, or is it still in some part fixed and we can build on it?
Yeah. Okay. So I start from the first question. That I forget, but it's related to attention, and deficit. Thank you. I apologize for that, but this is a factor of my age. So attention deficit. The issue is, as I said before, once you understand that there are structures in the brain that are responsible for some psychological activity, you can understand that if those structure have been impaired by some issues, you develop a illness, a pathology. For instance, for attention, we have this frontal part that allows to us to stay on focus on the matter we are doing. So I stay on focus on this subject. And there is another area responsible for switch my attention to one subject to another. So you can imagine if if this area is not really able to maintain the focus too much, we have the so-called attention deficit hyperactivity disorders, ADHD, which is a pathology in which the people are unable to stay too much focused on the, for instance, class content. So they have to move, to continuously. This is a child usually is treated for that. And this attention deficit hyperactive disorder is the fact that people are not able to focus too much. On the contrary, if you have this area not so able to switch your attention, you became a little bit maniac. Only that thing, hours. Because you are unable to remove your attention towards other targets. So this, I would like to say that our functions, what we believe define ourselves, are coded here by different areas. There are different areas that act in parallel, in competition one to each other to access our behavior. We make purchase on the base of this balance. There are other areas that are responsible for our focus of attention. And then the other questions. What about memory? There are a lot of types of memory. If I say this 20, I still have this 20 euros. This 20 euros will go to the people that make a phone call in 30 seconds to the number 328-76944531. And I start 30, 29, 28. So you have to, if you would like to get such money, you have to remember such number. And when you are attempting to remember such number, if your colleagues say, what he say, 32 what? You say, don't disturb me, and you forget the number. This is called short-term memory or working memory. It works and vanishes in a matter of seconds. It is supported by continuously activity of these two parts of the brain, frontal parietal. But it's continuously, and if something put our attentional resource on another part, this contents vanish. But the information stored about your name, the name of your parents, the street in which you live, they are stored quite safely, but they are not stored in the way we could imagine, like Google Maps or like the face of the people we love are not stored as bitmap in our brain. This is a crucial issue. We have computational paths and the pieces of information, very tiny pieces of information, that we store, and we move through this path to reconstruct the face. Our life here, in this moment, exactly, is a continuously reconstruction by the brain. You are simply everybody of us have no information at all about what happens outside of this field. I know that there is jacket here, maybe dark color. It's my brain give me this information, but my sensor organ are not able to detect color here. Absolutely not. So the issue is our brain is a machine that has limitation in hardware, multiple centers that access to behavior, and consciousness is one of the lot of processes that runs in parallel. If you understand this, all the issues about marketing strategies, psychology became very clear. Because the issue is the competition between different centers of the brain that would like to access to the behavior. This is the concept. And the consciousness is one of this process that moves back and forward and attempts to unify all the sensory influence we have.
Are there more questions? One last question.
Yeah, it's good.
Yes.
It's good. I'm terrified by occupy too much time. But that's it.
I definitely understand the importance of neuroscience as a device of understanding people better, but don't you think that in some cases there are some ethical issues and ethical implications in the procedure that maybe like perpetrates our individuality?
Okay, so your colleague is this, but says, but this things is really ethical. If I can grab from you information about your sexual orientation, your political orientation, if you like or not people with white skin color, it is ethical. So the issue here is what it is ethical and what it is not ethical. So let I make you an example on that. You have to make a red blood count, which means you have to take the blood, moving with the blood to the pharmacy or whatever, and say, please count my red cells, 5 million, blah, blah, blah. This is standard stuff, you know? But you already know, that when you move with your sample of blood inside a pharmacy, for instance, they can take from that sample of blood a lot of information about you, about if you are going to have an heart attack on the 60s, or if you have a diabetes, or if you have a familiarity for some disease. They could do that, but this is illegal. Why? It is illegal because the contract between you with the blood sample and the pharmacy is, please count my red cells, nothing else. This is the contract. This is what you are paying. If they do unethically, they are out of the law. The same with all the investigation of humans. If you cheat the scope of the research, I can put electrodes on the head of the lady in front of me, and I show her the commercial advertising of Cartier. We already saw. Good. And then suddenly I put some images of, for instance, two people that kiss one to each other of the same sex, or people that comes from the right political party. And I am be able to understand from the lady brain waves if she likes or not such kind of images. And without she has to speak anything. But this is a violation of the contract I made with her. It's in the same way with the pharmacy violates the contract, selling your red cell information, DNA information to the insurance company. So outlaw is outlaw. Ethics is ethics. So before to make any survey, because I can submit a survey to the lady and say, okay, so survey of Coca-Cola. Do you like Coca-Cola? Do you like Coca-Cola Zero, Pepsi Cola? And then do you like some fancy stuff about right party, left party, whatever. And she said to me, she could say, I not come here to answer about my political issues or my sexual preference. I can robber from her, I can steal from her in several ways, but this is the heart law. So ethical issue is a clear contract and informed consents before any actions. This holds over.
All right. Let's thank Professor Babiloni again. Thanks very much.